HBO confirms latest sequel, the Jon Snow Serie. Game of Thrones returns. Good day, Westeros throne family. Brace yourselves, because the news we have been waiting for since the Iron Throne melted into a sad puddle of symbolism has finally exploded across the realm. HBO has officially confirmed the newest sequel series, the long-whispered, long-teased, long-prayed-for Jon Snow sequel. Yes, the man who died, came back, saved the world, and still got exiled like he borrowed a dragon without permission is returning to our screens. If that does not make your inner direwolf howl, nothing will. Before we dive deeper into this glorious chaos, make sure you subscribe to Westeros Throne and tap that notification bell so you do not miss a single update about the return of the Seven Kingdoms' most reluctant hero. Now that we're strapped in, let's swing Longclaw and get straight into what this brand new sequel means, why it is happening now, and how it shakes the entire Game of Thrones universe like a White Walker charging through your bedroom at midnight. Here is the first major beat. The reason HBO finally confirmed the series now is simple: demand never died. Sure, the original finale left people about as divided as the post-treaty of Harrenhal, but Jon Snow was the one character universally loved. Whether fans adored the ending or wanted to launch the writers into the sun, everyone agreed on one thing: Jon Snow deserved more. More story, more justice, more screen time, more clarity after being shipped off to the wall like a kid getting time out for saving the world. This sequel answers that lingering ache. HBO saw the numbers, the nostalgia, the endless memes, and said, fine, let us give them the man, the myth, the emotionally exhausted Targaryen. And here is where the energy spikes. Kit Harington is back. Not maybe back. Not in talks to return. Not appearing as a shadow in a flashback. He is fully in the saddle again, back as the face of quiet, brooding, and dramatic long hair blowing in cold northern wind. Kit himself reportedly pitched this series, meaning the man who lived as Jon for nearly a decade believes the character's journey is not finished. If the actor playing the character thinks Jon still has unfinished business, you bet that business is big. Now, let us talk story direction, because this is where things get spicy. The sequel picks up after the finale, meaning we are not jumping back into the War for the Dawn, not dipping into flashbacks, and not revisiting any retellings. This is the direct continuation fans never got. Jon beyond the wall, reunited with Tormund Giantsbane, goes trotting happily beside him, in a wilderness full of mysteries no king, no queen, and no maester has ever fully mapped. And yes, that is the perfect setup for an entirely new era of storytelling. Think of it like this. Westeros has always been a land obsessed with thrones, crowns, courts, and chaos. The North beyond the wall is the opposite: ancient, untamed, and waiting to be explored. Jon stepping into this environment turns Game of Thrones into something fresh without losing what made the world iconic. Danger, lore, political tension, and that delicious unpredictability that keeps viewers glued to the screen. But the real hook is this: Jon's identity crisis is not over. Not even close. He is Aegon Targaryen, the rightful heir who did not want the crown. He is Ned Stark's son at heart, carrying the weight of honor. He is a man who loved Daenerys but ended up ending her reign. He is the savior of the living who still doubts whether he deserves forgiveness. The sequel has endless emotional fuel ready to burn. And just when you think we are out of sparks, here comes the next flame: political repercussions. Believe for a second that Bran the Broken Terrain is just smooth sailing? Absolutely not. A resurrected king's return sets off political shockwaves. The Night's Watch may be gone, the wall may be cracked, but the political structure to the south is fragile. A Targaryen heir living freely with his wildling family? That will not stay quiet forever. Expect ravens to start flying. Expect southern rulers to panic. Expect someone somewhere to whisper, "What if Jon Snow comes back?" That is the kind of tension HBO loves. It ties the sequel to the original series without leaning on retreads. Instead, it builds on the consequences. Now, this next element shifts us into full theory territory. Magic. Yes, magic. The children of the forest are gone, but not extinct. The White Walkers are shattered, but their origins are still mysterious. The far north has secrets older than the first men. And Jon Snow, reborn by the Lord of Light, touched by destiny, bound by prophecy. Walking into these lands is not an accident. What he discovers could blow open Lord George R. Martin is kept locked behind 40 years of cryptic foreshadowing. Imagine Jon encountering new supernatural forces, ancient tribes, lost civilizations, creatures beyond even old Nan's wild bedtime stories. The sequel has a chance to expand the mythology instead of recycling the past. And here is your next hook. We also have to ask one big question. Who else is returning? Because let's be honest, a Jon Snow sequel without familiar faces sprinkling in would be a waste. The door is wide open for cameos. Arya exploring the unknown west. Sansa ruling the north with all the grace and subtle hostility of a Stark-turned-queen. Bran sensing that something is stirring. Even Tyrion, who still has a sharp tongue and an even sharper interest in the realm's future. Remember, HBO loves ensemble connections. If this series succeeds, and it will, expect crossovers that fans will absolutely lose their minds over. Now, let us swing the spotlight to the production side, because that explains even more. HBO has been aggressively expanding the Game of Thrones universe after seeing the success of House of the Dragon. What does a company do when it discovers people still hunger for dragons, battles, and messy royal drama? It feeds the hunger. Between future Targaryen spin-offs, the Dunk and Egg series arriving soon, and now the Jon Snow sequel, the franchise is evolving into a fully interconnected universe. And Jon Snow's story is the anchor that pulls old viewers back in. There is another reason this sequel works so well. Tone. Jon's storyline has always balanced tragedy, resilience, and discovery. If House of the Dragon is about political rot and fire-soaked ambition, the Jon Snow series is the spiritual counterweight, cold wilderness, human survival, prophecies, and identity. The contrast keeps the universe diverse instead of repetitive. Now here is a piece fans have been buzzing about. Will this sequel rewrite or fix the ending of the original series? The short answer, no. HBO is not erasing anything, but they're expanding it. They're clarifying. They are adding depth to a finale that felt rushed. They're giving Jon Snow the space the final season did not. But even with all these possibilities, the core remains simple. Jon Snow's journey was never about ruling. It was about surviving, protecting, learning, and discovering who he is when the world is no longer ending. This sequel finally lets him live that arc to the fullest. So here we are. HBO has confirmed it. Kit Harington is returning. The world of Westeros is opening again. Not with a king, not with a warrior, but with a man who carries both fire and ice in his veins, stepping into a future with no map. Game of Thrones is back. And so is its most powerful, most conflicted, most beloved survivor. Thank you for watching.